After much speculation, the NBA finally revealed the supermax contract that Pascal Siakam would be eligible for. So, how can the player earn the contract, and is it worth it for the Raptors to give it to him? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? This is Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel that is all in on Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this, as well as live streams and shorts. If you enjoy what you see, as always, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more Raptors content just like this. And Pascal Siakam has been a name all over the NBA media in the summer, and particularly all over Raptors media, and very recently all over this channel, because his name is at the forefront of the news cycle at the moment concerning any possible trade that could happen with the player, with the Atlanta Hawks potentially lurking for a deal, but also now the potential for the Raptors to actually extend the player beyond this season and open up more flexibility. If you want Pascal Siakam to stay, then him signing an extension right now would be the best case scenario. This is the cheapest that we're going to be able to get him on. It's a 4-year, $192 million contract extension. But if you want to see Pascal Siakam gone, maybe you don't think he's worth that much money, it's best to lock down the player now to have more flexibility in trading him down the line. You can be a little bit more patient and trade him with many years left on his contract, which is far more desirable than teams trading for him right now when he's on a rental deal, and he has made it explicitly clear that he is not going to sign an extension with any team that trades for him. Now, the reason Siakam, in my opinion, has said that he does not want to sign an extension wherever he goes is because I believe the player is intent on trying to earn a supermax contract with the Raptors. There have been some other reports that we spoke about on this channel about maybe the extension happening now, but perhaps the plan to sign an extension right now could change, as it has been revealed exactly what Pascal Siakam could really be earning on that supermax contract. The most recent example we have of a supermax contract being signed is Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics, who shocked the world when he signed a 5-year, $304 million extension. Now, I think that the players that we have here in Siakam and Jaylen Brown are a little bit comparable. It's probably just on the cusp of who you would want to actually give a supermax contract to, but I think many people watching this video, of course, Raptors fans would say, and I think many fans around the NBA could agree that Siakam is the superior player. So if he does earn that supermax contract, it may be difficult to get him to sign for the Raptors without actually going up to that maximum amount of money. So what is that maximum amount of money? Well, Pascal Siakam, if he does make an all-NBA team this season in Toronto, would be eligible for a supermax contract up to 5 years, $307.23 million. That is what Pascal Siakam could be receiving if he does make an all-NBA team this season, like I said, in Toronto. But why only in Toronto? Why is this such an important part of the deal? Why is this such an important part of the contract? And why maybe is Siakam making it clear to other teams he won't sign an extension with them? Well, the supermax contract was designed relatively recently by the NBA as an incentive for great players to remain with the team that has had them for a certain number of years, or even better yet, the team that drafted the player. See, to be supermax eligible, the first criteria that you need to meet, you need to have played at least 7 years in the NBA and still be on the team that drafted you, or you need to still be on the team that traded for you while you were on your rookie contract. So it's an incentive for these really good players to stay with the team that's had them for such a long period of time and has helped develop them, kind of decentivizing great players moving on from their team because they want to go to a more competitive team. This compels them to stay because there was such a large figure of money. But also within this criteria that Pascal Siakam has clearly met, he's still with a team that drafted him after getting drafted 27th overall in 2016. But also along with that eligibility, there's some MVP sort of eligibility. There's Defensive Player of the Year eligibility, which Pascal Siakam clearly will not meet. But for an All-NBA eligibility, you need to have either made it twice in the last 3 seasons, or you need to make it in the season that you either sign your extension or sign your contract, in which case for Pascal Siakam, he'd be doing both if he were to make it this season. But that is why it was so crucial for him last season to try and make All-NBA, but he ended up coming up short. Put on an outstanding season. It was just probably the fact the Raptors struggled and limped into the play-in tournament with a very poor record. 41-41, I mean, very poor. We're getting a little bit greedy here in Toronto these days. Who could have thought? But a 41-41 record, usually you have to be an exceptional NBA talent to get into an all-NBA team with a record like that. But if the Raptors were up there in the Eastern Conference, Siakam would have certainly been all-NBA. So why are we putting such a stock here on an all-NBA appearance if we're not really confident in the Raptors having success this season? Because the Raptors follow up what they did last season with a 41-41 record. Siakam follows up that season with another really good season, but likely not enough to make an all-NBA appearance. What are we discussing this supermax contract for? What will Pascal Siakam have to do to make an all-NBA team this season, and is it realistic and feasible for him to achieve it? Well, for Pascal Siakam, he's lost a really good friend in Fred VanVleet, who's now gone to the Houston Rockets. We know about the bond that these two players have, always sticking up for one another. Obviously, Siakam may be a little bit sad to lose out on a friend like that. I mean, he's gained one now, and Jakob Poeltl may be his best friend coming back to the team at the most recent NBA trade deadline. But in Fred VanVleet leaving the team, Pascal Siakam, and for the Raptors in general, a whole bunch of usage has opened up. The second highest usage on the Raptors last season was from Fred VanVleet, and for guys in the team who can get it done in isolation scenarios, you can stick the ball in their hands and go get a bucket. Well, Fred VanVleet maybe didn't do that a ton last season, but he was a guy entrusted with that plenty of times, but no one more than Pascal Siakam. And other than those two players, as far as those isolation opportunities go, nobody was really given a lot of those chances. So the bulk of that usage and the bulk of the touches are now likely going to fall in Pascal Siakam's hands. And the fact that the Raptors are now even more thin in the point guard position, we're going to see a lot more of Pascal Siakam ball handling and initiating the offense. So the touches, the shooting opportunities, the isolation, the self-creation, the clutch chances, all of these are going to be there for Pascal Siakam this season. He's likely going to be seeing more of the ball than he ever has. And under a new head coach, Darko Rajakovic, who promotes such a potent offense, this could be Pascal Siakam's best season yet. I mean, consider the fact that Pascal Siakam has achieved 2 All-Star appearances and 2 All-NBA appearances under the guidance of head coach Nick Nurse, with Nick Nurse running a defensive-first scheme and an offensive scheme that is driven specifically by isolations. Now that there's going to be some less tiresome sort of sets on the offensive end where they're actually moving the ball and maybe designing plays specifically to Pascal Siakam's strengths, we might really be able to see a jump from Siakam this season, and it's really hard to make a jump from what we saw last season. Pascal Siakam was exceptional. It was likely his best individual season to date, despite maybe some efficiency falling a little bit near the tail end of the season with that three-point percentage, but Siakam is a player with the capabilities of shooting 33 to 34% from three. I think that we can really open up his three-point game if we really start to punish teams with Siakam's corner three-pointers. We don't do it enough in Toronto. Siakam's a good corner three-point shooter. We don't do it enough, but adding that into the extra touches he's going to be having, adding that into maybe the extra sets that he's initiating, there's a very distinct reality where it's not even exaggerating to say Siakam could average 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists for this team, shooting right around 50% from the field and 34% from three. And if Pascal Siakam is putting up those numbers, honestly, the team record may not matter much. With the Raptors not having a 2024 first-round pick to fall on, especially if Siakam is here, like the top 6 protected pick to the San Antonio Spurs, if Siakam's here, Barnes is here, OG is here, this team is going to be far too good to be a bottom 6 team in the NBA, in my opinion. I don't really see us going that far down in the standings. It's going to be a decently competitive team. Maybe one that can win even more than 41 games that we did last season. And if that team is accomplishing any semblance of a 500 record and Siakam is putting up 26, 8, and 5 on 50 and 34 shooting, that is a player that is going to sneak into an all-NBA third team and be eligible for that $307 million Supermax contract. So I would say it's more likely than not he doesn't make an all-NBA appearance, but he certainly has had the respect of voters in the past, and if he shows a jump in his abilities, that's what voters are looking for. It's the players that plateau at these like outrageous stat lines that don't usually get the love, but the ones who take the jump, that's where the voters catch their eye, and that's how Siakam can make an all-NBA appearance and make himself Supermax eligible. So to finish off, is he worth it? Let's say Siakam ignores the extension this summer because there are 307.23 million reasons why he should ignore this summer's possible extension. Because why not go and try to make an all-NBA appearance? Why not try to make it and get your Supermax contract? Should the Raptors offer it to him if he is eligible to receive it? I asked that in a recent poll on this channel. I do polls all the time here, and the majority of the fan base says that Pascal Siakam is not supermax eligible. But the arguments against that I'm going to present are, first of all, it's hard to argue against a player receiving a supermax contract when they have literally met the criteria to receive that contract. Like Jaylen Brown, as much as I don't think he's worth it, he met the criteria to do it, and the Boston Celtics probably felt as though they were better off keeping him on maybe too much money now than having to trade him for a trade that makes the team worse, or possibly losing the player entirely for nothing in free agency. These are the difficult decisions that the team has to make when it comes to a player, because there are some bona fide supermax players, but Siakam specifically, I don't think fits into that tier of a bona fide supermax player. But if the sticking point in the discussions are, well, if Jaylen Brown got it, I'm better than Jaylen Brown, I should be getting that contract as well. And the sticking points are, I'm going to walk away for free in free agency if you don't give me the max money that I'm entitled to receive based on the criteria that I myself have worked to achieve and worked to meet. Then I think the Raptors will have their hands tied a little bit with that contract. And it's a lot of money. I understand. I'd be reluctant a little bit to give it to him as well, but ultimately, I lean more on the side of having to give it to him than on the side of having to work out a way to get rid of him, whether that's for free or whether that is with a trade. Especially when you consider the fact with the CBA, the NBA, the way it's growing, contract amounts are going to continuously go up. The revenue is going to continuously go up. So Jaylen Brown, yes, he just signed the richest contract in NBA history, but for how long will that be the richest contract in NBA history? In 3-4 years' time, when he's still on that contract, there's going to be so many players who have surpassed that amount. I mean, once upon a time, Mike Conley signed the richest contract in NBA history. And Mike Conley's a fine player, but my goodness, a one-time All-Star, the richest contract in NBA history. Like, that shouldn't have happened, but eventually people pass him. Eventually, it becomes the norm to receive this amount of money. So, Pascal Siakam, I'd say I'd give him about a 40% shot of making All-NBA this season. We will just have to see if he is willing to risk it and not sign his extension right now to go for that supermax contract and go for that All-NBA appearance, or if he's going to take his money right now and be loyal to the Toronto Raptors. Think about this. It'd be very, very admirable of Siakam to not go for that big sum of money and to commit to the city of Toronto and sign this extension right now. It'd be hard to hate him if he did choose that path. But what do you think about this Siakam situation? Is he worth the $307 million that he could be eligible for next summer? You let me know in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like it if you enjoyed. Subscribe as well if you enjoyed for more Raptors content just like this. And I'll see you again very soon for another video here on Amateur Sports.